Hello grade 2 students, welcome back to our class. Materials needed, math textbook, and pencil. Chapter 15, Lesson 6, Partition, Shapes, textbook pages 889 to 892. At the end of the lesson, the students are expected to divide circles and rectangles into halves, thirds, and fourths. Let's review Chapter 15, Lesson 5. Divide rectangles into equal squares. A rectangle can be divided into rows and columns of squares that are all the same size. You can count or add in different ways to find the total number of squares. At the left side, you will see that it is added by rows, and at the right side, it is added by columns. Let's start learning. Please open your book on page 889. Solve and share. Use one type of pattern block to cover this shape. Draw lines to show how you placed the pattern blocks. How many equal shares does the shape have now? What do you notice about the equal shares? What are you asked to do? Cover the shape with pattern blocks that are all the same and then find how many pattern blocks or equal shares cover the shape. Then tell what you notice about the equal shares. What tools do you have to cover the shape? Pattern blocks. What does it mean to use only one type of pattern block? Use only one kind of shape, such as only squares. How do you know you have covered the shape? The rectangle will be completely covered with my pattern block shape, and there will be no gaps or overlaps. Take a look at this. We use two squares to correctly partition the rectangle into two equal shares. The two equal shares are squares.
Look at the first circle. Are these shares equal? Yes, there are two equal shares. These shares are halves. These are not equal shares. These shares are not halves. Which rectangle shows equal shares? In the first rectangle, there are three equal shares. These shares are thirds. These are not equal shares. These shares are not thirds. Look at the first circle. Are these shares equal? Yes, there are four equal shares. These shares are fourths. These are not equal shares. These shares are not fourths. You can show equal shares in different ways. What is the same about all of these squares? They are all divided into 4 equal shares.
Each share is a fourth of the square.
Now you know how you can divide circles and rectangles into halves, thirds, and fourths.
Are these shares equal? Why are the two shares in the first circle called halves? Because they are two equal shares of the whole. Why are the two shares in the next circle not halves? Because each share is a different size. Are these shares equal? In the first rectangle, there are 3 equal shares. These shares are thirds. When we say thirds, these are 3 equal shares that make up a whole. Why are the 3 shares of the second rectangle not thirds? Because they are not all 3 equal shares of the whole. Are these shares equal? Why are the 4 shares in the first circle called fourths? Because they are 4 equal shares of the whole. Why are the 4 shares in the next circle not fourths? Because the shares are not equal. Look at this example. We can show equal shares in different ways. For your guided practice, please open your book on page 890. Number 1. Describe each equal share. Write a half of, a third of, or a fourth of. In the first shape, it has 4 equal shares, so each share is a fourth of the rectangle. In the second shape, it has 3 equal shares, so each share is a third of the circle. In the third shape, it has 2 equal shares, so each share is a half of the square. Now number 2, divide each square into halves. Show 4 different ways. So sample answer here. Divide this rectangle into 3 equal shares. How many thirds is 1 share? How many thirds is the whole rectangle? Sample answer. So how many thirds is 1 share? 1 third. How many thirds is the whole rectangle? 3 thirds. For your independent practice, please open your book on page 891. Divide each shape into the number of equal shares given. Show 2 ways. Then complete the sentences. So let us answer number 3. 3 equal shares. Each share is a third of the whole. Each whole is 3 thirds. Number 4. 4 equal shares. Each share is a fourth of the whole. Each whole is 4 fourths. Number 5. 2 equal shares. Each share is a half of the whole. Each whole is 2 halves. Number 6. Draw what comes next. Sample answer. For your math practices and problem solving, please open your book on page 892. Let us answer number 7. Leon cut a waffle into halves. Draw lines to show 3 different ways he could have cut the waffle. Sample answer. Number 8. Tina is planting a garden. She wants to have equal parts for beans, 4 tomatoes, and 4 peppers. Draw a picture of how she could divide her garden. Sample answer. Number 9. Draw lines on the picture to solve the problem. 4 friends want to share a watermelon. How could they cut the watermelon so each friend gets an equal share? Sample answer. So each friend will get a fourth. Number 10. Matt wants a flag that shows fourths. Which flags could Matt use? Choose all that apply. A whole can have equal shares called halves, thirds, and fourths. You can show halves, thirds, and fourths of the same whole in different ways. Thank you, parents and students, for your active participation.